Here we go. Welcome, Average Joe Nation from around the globe. Props to you for staying up to date and keeping in the know. With fantasy football, man, very soon you'll reign. The knowledge that these three guys have, man, it is insane. Yeah, fantasy football talk hateful eight, they wear the crown. Hold it down. Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli, hold it down. Pulling up to the recording studio, we're getting loud. Getting ready, headphones on, red light, go, break it down.
Welcome back to the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast. Week 1 officially has kicked off as we're recording Friday afternoon, I guess, Eastern Standard Time. So Thursday night has happened already. And let's just, left to right, we'll one word or one sentence that described last night's game.
Rust.
Trash.
Nah, I like the rust.
You could tell that this is a product of them teams not playing their starters in the preseason.
Yeah.
Because like you said off air, go ahead.
Extension of the preseason.
Exactly. That's what it looked like.
Okay.
Minus Bears' defensive line.
Yeah. Well, no, I think both defenses played pretty well.
I was saying, go ahead.
No, they stepped up. Like you could tell they've gotten better.
What was it, Mike Pettine? Is that what his name is?
Yeah,
the defense. Yeah, he came in, and I think it's a culture change for this defense finally.
Absolutely.
For years prior to this, the Packers' defense was a joke. I mean, it was kind of on the borderline of what the Saints were a couple years ago before they got Lattimore and a couple of these defensive key players. I just feel like it was a joke. It was like, how long can the defense hold, or how long can they keep them under 21 points? It's kind of like a running joke. But to me, the Packers' defense, I think the scheme fitted well against Chicago's offense.
Well, listen, I hope Nagy can get it together, but I tell you what, that could be a blueprint to beat the Bears is, stack that box, make them beat you with Trubisky's arm, because he wasn't doing it last night.
You put
he threw the ball a ton short, but he wasn't throwing it over the top.
No, you put your best corner on Allen Robinson, and you stack the box, and you got a good shot at winning.
I was like, that zone defense, I mean, it kind of just, and I think, and I don't know if it's Trubisky or the play calls, but as a whole, that offense they couldn't find the gaps. They couldn't find the holes in the zone. I mean, every zone defense has a spot or two, and that's what you pick apart. But I just felt like Trubisky couldn't hit it. I mean,
he was off on he had Montgomery for a few nice, plays down the middle, but he just couldn't hit it.
But I will tell you, Taylor Gabriel, had he not pushed off towards the end of the game in that, second half area time frame when he pushed off on a jump ball, essentially, he could have, it would have been a 60-some yard pass, then we got him within the red zone right then. But, offensive pass interference pretty much cleared that right up. So
still keep that name in mind, because Gabriel saw a ton of targets, a ton of volume for a lot more than I expected.
Well, he's their deep guy.
Yeah. All right. So like we said, today's show, it's just one thing mainly, the main segment, which is the good, the bad, the ugly. So guys that are going to be good this week, guys that are going to be bad, as you can hear, and the ugly is more so guys that they may be bigger names, or they may be guys who you would probably play on every other week, but this is the week that you kind of go into precaution of they may not score as many points as what they could potentially average on a weekly basis. So but the only big news that we had for today was Tyreek Hill's getting I think it was a 3-year or a 4-year deal.
The extension.
Yeah.
So he's getting paid now, putting him up in that top echelon for wide receivers. Julio Jones may or may not play or hold out because he wants his contract.
He'll be there, I think.
I think it was more of kind of like putting the front office on notice that I can just pretty much sit at any moment. So
Yeah, but he does this like every other year.
And he gets away with it, though.
he does.
We kind of talk about it a little bit, then we brush it under the table. Now, if this was like OBJ, we'd be talking about it for weeks.
Right.
It's just the difference in character.
Well, yeah, and what he means to the organization and the type of player he's been on and off the field. He's not causing trouble off the field or on the field.
We've seen what the Giants, or what OBJ meant to the Giants.
Yeah.
Listen, I think OBJ's in for a big year. I'm actually rooting for the guys here. But transitioning to OBJ, sounds like he's going to play.
Yeah.
He's got a hip thing going on.
But sounds like everything is trending in the right direction. And then the big news, Antonio Brown suspended, not suspended, maybe suspended, apology in front of your friends and your family members, and now you're actually going to play Monday night.
This was Mike Mayock.
That's literally the last 48 hours.
Mike Mayock getting mad at the situation. First of all, whatever happens in-house, don't post it on social media, because that's just going to make things worse.
I'll say strike one for Antonio Brown. Don't post your letter.
Mayock did too.
So it was a double, like I said, double-edged sword. Both parties were in the wrong, and I think both parties were heated. And I think it's a culmination of the foot issue, the helmet issue, and it's just one thing after another.
Right.
And Mike Mayock and Gruden are very much old school mentality. You shut up, you put your chin strap on, and you go. and there's no in between. You don't do anything else. You just play.
Well, I know Mike Mayock was mad, but I guarantee you Gruden was probably the driving force for having Antonio Brown on that field.
Yeah,
And
I'd say so.
Let's be honest, they need each other.
They
Antonio
do.
Brown needs to play to make sure he gets his guaranteed money, and Mayock and Gruden need him to play the way they don't lose their jobs.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, I don't know. It last 48 hours has just been crazy. If you're a Raiders fan or if you're an Antonio Brown fantasy owner in this context, you were like up and down, up and down.
well,
So
the last 48 hours were way better than anything on Hard Knocks.
this is also true.
Very true. Knock on wood if you're with me. Sorry, I had to.
I know, I got you. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into the main segment for today. The good, the bad, and the ugly for week 1.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, the good, the bad, the ugly. This was presented by Trophy Smack. Fantasy trophies, fantasy belts, fantasy championship rings. They have them all on there just in time. I mean, your leagues are already started, so why not prepare now? Get yourself everything ready to go for the end of the year for, I guess, crowning your new champion, upgrading all your stuff. So they still have a deal. It's TH8FF ring. You get a free championship ring if you buy your trophy on the website through them. So
If you haven't done it yet, you're behind the curve.
this is also true. So
Good with it.
let's get into the Sunday games. The first game out the gate is going to be the Rams at the Panthers. I've got the good for the week. You've got the bad, Trimboli, and Blackburn, you've got the ugly for the week. So,
Naturally.
right. So the Rams at Panthers. The good for me is Curtis Samuel in this one. I just think that the Rams really only have one good corner. I know Talib's in there. I know that they have. I just drew a blank on the other guy. Came from Kansas City a year ago, 2 ago.
Peters.
Peters. I think
And
Marcus
they
Peters
got
is
Weddle
trash.
in there. What?
I think Marcus Peters is trash. He's gotten exposed the last
man.
couple years.
That's rough.
Hey, get in the corner.
Yeah.
I think Talib is okay.
Pickles
Talib
making his
to me
own
has not
corner
shown, has not dropped off. Last year, Marcus Peters got burnt time after time after time.
Fair
and
enough.
I just think that the best receiver or the receiver that's probably going to get covered by Talib more than likely is going to be DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel can move in and out of the backfield, out of the slot, out of the outside, wherever you need to put him. He can go anywhere on the field. I just think he's going to have more opportunity, and I think being able to being versatile, whether it's in the backfield or being anywhere else on the field, I think that's going to be the big point for him. And I think a double-digit points, fantasy points, and half-point-wise, I think is not too far off for him this week. But that's just me personally
No,
looking
I'm
at the defense.
going to piggyback on that. When I go to my bad, which I'm going to announce right now, it's kind of like almost like an ugly play here. I think it's DJ Moore. I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think Curtis Samuel is going to be the wide receiver to own this week. DJ Moore is going to see the better coverage. And let's just be honest, where you draft him, you're expecting double-digit fantasy points. I think he's going to be under this week, which is why he's a bad play. He's still a worthy start. It's just don't expect the big points this week.
Right.
Plus, we don't know how healthy Cam really is.
I don't
I'll
know.
tell you what, now that what we saw last night, who knows what we're going to see out of any of these teams.
I know it scared me last night. See, especially with how high everybody had Montgomery. I mean, I know it's not just him, but
Yeah.
4th round pick and he just gets 5 carries. That's underwhelming.
I was concerned about seeing what Aaron Rodgers and specifically Devontae Adams did.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams was not the leading receiver on that offense at the end of the night.
It was MVS, right?
MVS.
Yeah.
And the leading scorer not named Aaron Rodgers for the Packers was
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy, Mr. Irrelevant Graham.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. You know that one word should have been MVS for me when we started the show. They got him the ball in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Allison was almost non-existent out there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the Bears' defense, the
He was
secondary, is not
Zero.
good.
Zero.
Right.
He put up a goose egg.
Right. Well, I'm saying he was out there, but he was non-existent in fantasy points, and that was what
Yeah,
I mean.
zero. It's hard to get any points
Right.
when you have
Well,
no targets,
we have
no
seen people-
receptions.
Just saying, Reggie Bush has managed to get negative points. Just saying for the year.
Fair enough.
True.
So,
I'll give you that.
anyways, I'm just
Anyway.
saying, in general, I was very concerned to see how much Adams was involved. However, never really got any type of traction going. And
Well, let's be honest. The Jimmy Graham touchdown was kind of luck. Aaron Rodgers just kind of threw it up there.
Yeah.
this is true. So, anyway, Curtis Samuel was a good. You had
I said DJ Moore as a
the
bad.
bad, and then for you, who was the ugly in this game?
I mean, he's not. You're not excited about playing him, but you might have to. Is Greg Olson, DJ Moore and Samuel are their comfort, their security blankets. We know they're going to play, but Greg Olson is healthy. He's projected 9 fantasy points. I'll take Greg Olson. That's Cam's security guy.
Let's say outside of Christian McCaffrey, any short yardage, any dink and dunk stuff they're going to try to do down the field, plus potentially any red zone, it's going to be Olsen or it's going to be Christian McCaffrey.
Well, it's kind of hard to find any like ugly or bad for the Rams because that offense is just nasty.
I mean, we could talk about Higbee, but is anyone even drafting him?
Hey, he got money. Don't leave him alone. He got
anyways.
paid.
I love Higbee.
I know you do. I know
He's
you like
just
to
waiting.
talk about him.
He's
but I
on-
never see him in your lineup when we
He's
play.
Because you know what,
He's
man?
the only one on that hype train. He has literally been the conductor for the last 3 years on that, and nobody is asked to buy a ticket onto the train. I'm just saying.
It's because they got Everett. He overshines Higbee.
Well, I will say, there's almost no player really to avoid completely in this game. It's a 50-point over/under with only a 2-point spread. That means
Right.
They think both teams are going to score.
Right.
So
I just think if you're one of those guys that draft tight ends late, Greg Olson's there, you're going to play him. He's projected 9 points, but it's not pretty.
it's a good way to see how they're going to move going forward. Because
Right.
if Greg Olson is not in the game plan, then I would tell you what, I'd get my DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and CMC shares up big
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely.
I mean, it'll be interesting. My other thing to kind of piggyback off the ugly is to see how much they use this Ian Thomas into the fold.
Right.
That's my other concern.
Right.
Not so much Greg Olson. I mean, he was kind of like a lame duck last year, but his feet you could tell his foot was not completely 100%.
Broken foot, yeah.
So I'm just concerned if we see Ian Thomas kind of get more put into these certain passing down situations.
Acclimated to the offense.
There you go. Or red
Vocab.
red zone opportunities. It's just we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you probably drafted Greg Olson late or
yeah.
picked him up off of waivers. So if you're playing him because whoever your other tight end has a really bad matchup. So I
Or you
understand.
got Jordan Reed, who's in concussion protocol.
Also true.
And he makes this list.
So, all right, on to the Redskins at the Eagles game. The good
look at that transition.
Right. The good for me is Darius Geis. I'm looking at double-digit fantasy points this week. The biggest thing for me, AP has been rumored to be a, end quotes, healthy scratch, which usually means it's going to be they're giving Geis as much opportunity as they can to see if he can be the guy.
I read a thing from one of the beat writers of the Redskins. Obviously, I follow him. They said Jay Gruden did not want AP on the roster
Ooh.
because when he does not play, he's in Jay Gruden's ear,
Yeah.
like he was with Sean Payton when he was with the Saints. So they didn't even want AP on the roster. They wanted Geis and Thompson, but the owner and stuff wanted AP there.
Yeah. Well, and then on culminating with the fact that there's word that not maybe so much this week, but the left tackle is potentially going to be coming back in the next couple days.
Yeah, he's going to miss week 1,
Right.
But they're saying that he'll probably be back for week 2.
Right.
which,
So it
thank
doesn't
God.
help, but this week's, but specifically, I just think Darius Geis, if he is literally the only back other than Chris Thompson, he's going to see volume of
It's
nothing
just great
else.
to see him ready to play week 1, and people are excited to watch him. Because listen,
I'm excited.
coming into last year, we thought he was going to be a 3-down back. He was like a Montgomery kind of height.
Right.
We had this for Geis. It's good to see him now playing, and I agree with you. I think he's going to be a double-digit fantasy scorer.
Yeah.
I think so too.
All right. Who's the bad in this one?
My bad is if he plays is Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
Coming off the concussion protocol, I just don't see a lot of good things happening for him.
He
this
might not
week.
know what day it is even.
No.
So
Well,
If he plays the whole game. even.
Right. The only thing is the wide receiver core they got is very young, so I could see them relying on Reed. But I agree with you that
Well, then,
I just don't know.
so I looked at Philadelphia's defensive numbers last year. They only allowed 2 touchdowns to the tight end last year. And so, again, with Washington's offensive deficiencies, I
Yeah.
don't really see.
Yeah,
There'll
I don't
be a
know.
lot of
I don't
play
know
there,
what their
but-
offense is going to look like with Case.
But with Geis, I don't know. That changes it. I give it a little bit more excitement. Because he can do a little bit more.
I say it
You know,
gives
you're
him more
not-
pop to the offense.
Yeah, but if I'm Philly, I just stack the box like we talked about, and then let Case try to beat you with those young wide receivers.
This is true.
I just think if you could run a two-back set with Geis and Thompson in,
Oh, I think that's going to happen,
I think that's a.
and that goes into my ugly is Chris Thompson.
There you go.
AP healthy scratch. I think game script alone is going to favor Chris Thompson because he's going to be your pass catching back. I think Philly's going to be up, and Washington's going to have to pass to try to catch up or whatever, and that favors Chris Thompson. He's projected 7 points this game.
Right. I was to piggyback what you were saying with me with Darius Geis. Why I have him as a good is because I think the game is going to be close, maybe for the first half, and that's going to kind of help out Darius Geis to get maybe a red zone opportunity to get to maybe 30, 40 yards and a touchdown, or a touchdown and a couple, however you want to call it, for pass catching, whatever. But I think towards the second half, to majority of the volume points wise, it's probably going to go to Chris Thompson on the back half of the game, just because I think, like you said, there's just so much firepower on that offense for the Eagles with Wentz back, and I'm just not,
Right.
I'm not secured in that defense being out there that long for the Redskins, even though they are a good defense. being out there, any defense that's good, being out on the field too long, they're going to get exposed eventually.
Well, speaking of Philly, you guys worried about the running back by committee this week with Sanders, Howard? I mean,
No, because apparently the Eagles were in thought process of potentially trading Howard away already, and he just got on the team.
well, I know, but we talked about
Well, they were going to
Montgomery,
get Melvin Gordon.
Right.
Right.
which he would have played then, which he
Right.
would have been in the mix. So really, I don't know if they're totally sold that Sanders is going to be the every down back right now.
I read that they're not exactly thrilled with Sanders.
See, to me, it goes back and forth. I think they want to get him the early down work, and then I think they're just kind of seeing what they have also.
I think it's going to be a mix of Howard and Sanders, kind of like how the Bears did, where Mike Davis played a series, and then next series it was
And then
Montgomery.
who's the hot hand?
Right.
Roll with it.
It's typical Philly. Ever since McCoy left, has
Yep.
been doing running back by committee.
Yeah. All right. All right. So then we roll into the Bills at the Jets. This one is not really an exciting game to really like, unless you have a fantasy player on one of these teams or you're a fan of one of these teams. You're probably not sitting down and watching this game.
I
True.
guarantee you, I will not be watching this game.
So, Bills at the Jets. For me, the good in this one is John Brown. Probably the best option in that offense for Josh Allen. I just don't know what we're going to be seeing. I know Cole Beasley's there. I know that they've
I
got
like
Zay
Beasley this
Jones.
I do too. I like Zay Jones though.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just-
not a Zay Jones
Just
guy.
don't know about this. But I
He's in
mean,
the corner.
the fact that they got rid of McCoy, the fact that they're trying to push this David Montgomery, or not David Montgomery, but Devin Singletary, as well as a couple of these other backs in there, Gore.
Yeah, the dinosaurs back.
Right. I'm not sold on that backfield just yet. I think it's eventually going.
Dinah
Dinah Gore.
He could never go
Dinah
away.
Gore. I like it. But yeah, I just think John Brown's going to have the more opportunity because I think that eventually they're going to start chucking this ball. Allen's got an arm. He's going to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one or two steps for John Brown to get behind one of these trash secondary players for the Jets, and it's over.
I think game script too. I mean, Jets have enough offensive firepower to score.
Yeah.
I think
Go
I
ahead.
think Allen's going to lead the team though in rushing.
You think?
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good chance. Good chance.
I think it's going to be a split between Gore and
Yeah, it's going to
Singletary. So I think and then Allen's going to run the ball.
Gore's
pretty
going to be
often.
your goal line guy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why I've got him at 10 fantasy points, and I just put that the Jets did not improve their secondary over the offseason, and they were 31st in the NFL against wide
Yeah, they were
receivers in
terrible.
fantasy.
Yeah.
So John Brown has a pretty good chance to probably take one of those to the house or one of those 9 routes, and it's toss, go, and
What-
just run.
And unlike we saw last week with Trubisky or last night with Trubisky, Allen's willing to throw that ball down the field.
Yeah, he
he
has
just
no
needs
qualms.
he's been needing a player
Yeah,
like
he needs a
this.
downfield guy.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so who's the bad in this one?
I'm actually taking the quarterback for the other team, Sam Darnold. Listen, I'm in on Darnold still this year. I think this is a bad matchup for him. Robbie Anderson's a little banged up. And let's be honest, the Bills' defense was sneaky good last year.
It kinda was.
They held the quarterbacks to under 200 yards a game. They average about an interception a game. It's not really what I want to see.
That Vikings game, though,
Yeah.
that was crazy. They killed the Vikings.
I would say the Bills' defense is the X factor for me in this game. I just think basically the how well if the Bills are going to win or not a lot of games this year. I just think that's going to be the go, and I think that's the same thing with the Bears. Kind of to go back to that, I think the Bears are going to live and die by that defense. I think the Bills are going to live and die by their defense to win games. I think Allen's going to put some points on the board, but I don't think it's going to be a lot of firepower on that offense this year.
Let's be honest. I think it's going to be a run heavy on both sides,
I think
which
so,
means it's going to be a low scoring game. So I don't think the fantasy points are going to be spread around to everyone.
Le'Veon Bell.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm nervous about him.
I'm
I'm
nervous. I'm nervous.
I think he's going to do well.
I'm nervous of
This
like you
week
said,
I'm
the
nervous.
against the defense,
Check down,
but overall,
check down.
that's what I'm banking
Well,
on.
I don't want Ty Montgomery to come in and eat some of this up.
Ty
Because we're
Montgomery can
seeing-
hold a clipboard.
Well, I know, but we're
Right.
seeing this preseason
Rust
week
and
5
Leo.
now, starting in week
Yeah, I know.
1.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
r-
saying?
you're right. You're right.
So, all right, who's the bad in this one for you?
He already did the bad. I'm the ugly.
Oh,
Jamison
I don't think
Crowder.
you're that bad.
I'm taking Jamison Crowder here.
Yeah.
He was targeted a lot during the preseason. I know it's preseason, but
Mm-hmm.
him and Darnold have a kind of chemistry already. Like you mentioned, Robbie Anderson's dealing with a calf injury. He's questionable. I think he might play, but he's going to be their stretch field guy anyway. Crowder's a dink and dunk guy. I like him for PPR purposes. He's a red zone threat, and he's projected 9 points.
Yeah. I mean, I think his floor is the 8 range, and I think his ceiling could be 11 or 12, depending on how involved reception-wise he is in
gets a
his.
TD, yeah.
Crowder could be a sneaky DFS play too.
Yeah,
I like Crowder a lot this year.
I do too.
I didn't think Robbie Anderson is going to be the stretch the field guy, and I think Crowder is going to be the move the chain guy. And I think that's pretty much going to be your offense.
With Crowder, I think you're going to get a ton of volume, and then you just hope to get the touchdown. With Robbie Anderson, where I'm so high on him, I think he'll get the touchdown.
Right.
He just is not going to get all the volume.
Well, when Crowder was in Washington, he was that guy. He was the dink and dunk guy. But when we got into the red zone, he was besides Jordan Reed, he was our primary red zone guy, and he flourished in that.
He just finds a hole to sit down.
Yeah.
He runs around and he just sits in the gap or sits in the hole and waits for it. I mean, he knows his strengths.
And
So
the Bills' best corner is that White. Is that his name?
Devin White.
Tre'Davious White.
I think so.
Whatever his name is. He's going to be on Robbie Anderson, so that's going to
Okay.
leave Crowder roam in the middle.
I just worry about Bell in the red zone because he's a beast. When he
I
gets
know.
down there,
I know.
so-
They got options. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They have options.
I agree. I think the big thing, it may not be pretty. You may be going into into halftime and you're like, I got 3 points from Crowder, or I got 2 points from Crowder, and you go in the second half and he catches a touchdown for like 15 yards, but it's like 5 or 6 receptions.
Take Cohen last night. He was
Trash
trash in the first half, and then he just basically
garbage
fourth
time.
quarter.
He had 7 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Or something.
Finished with 12.
That's what
for the
Crowder's
day.
going to get. Little numbers like that, but I think he'll do it all throughout the game, which
I do
you should
too.
end with a pretty decent score.
Right. All right. Now Falcons and Vikings. It's at Minnesota. For me, the good in this one is Calvin Ridley. So I've got him somewhere in that 9 to 11 points range. I think Julio says likely to be best coverage, like see the best coverage or be double coverage. And even if he doesn't play, which I think we're all here at the table are in agreement that I think he's going to play. I think it was just kind of like to put the front office on notice at this point to say, hey, let's get this ball rolling. Even if we don't get the deal this week, let's get the ball rolling again type
I
thing.
think that was just his way of saying, hey, let's get it done now. I don't think he'll miss a game. It's not
No,
him.
but to me, Calvin Ridley excels more if Julio's on the field.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He can roam the field. He can be the outside opposite of Julio, or he can be in the slot. I just think he has got enough. He's agile enough to be able to go in and out wherever he needs to go. So I just think that with Julio, like I said, seeing the best coverage or double coverage, depending on. I mean, Julio's probably going to see for sure Xavier Rhodes,
Absolutely.
but there
And
may be a
Vikings-
safety coming down to kind of
Harrison
keep it.
Smith. Yeah.
right.
I mean, and then Vikings' second corner is trash.
Right. So I just think that this is what we're looking at. I think that Calvin Ridley, kind of like similar to Jamison Crowder, is going to just be able to roam free in that secondary and just kind of sit in a gap and wait for it. And he's got enough speed and agility to take it to the house after a catch. So
Right.
I just think that he's got a high side of double-digit points for me this week. So why not? I know Minnesota's good. I know they got a good defense. They're going to have a probably good offense again this year now that they've kind of figured out how they're going to do things. But it could end up being a shootout for all we know.
That's what
So-
put that.
All right,
Well,
bad.
actually, I'm gonna take his quarterback here.
Oh.
I know I'm gonna make a lot of people unhappy here because they're probably still gonna play him. I get it. It's Matty Ice, but I just think you should hinder your expectations with Matt Ryan this week.
Yeah.
Listen, the Vikings are tough on defense. They allowed the fewest touchdowns to any quarterback last year, and they were the second best in defensive total to allowing points to the quarterback. Listen, Matt, he's a big name, but if Julio is hindered in any way or not playing, I'm not playing Matt Ryan.
And Matt Ryan doesn't play well on the road.
Right, true.
He plays well. Here's the thing. It's kind of like it's funny because he plays well indoors. He's one of like the top 3 fantasy quarterbacks that plays indoors. However, he doesn't play well on the road. Well, he's playing indoors on the road, so it's like, okay, which one are we getting? Are we getting the Matty Ice that lights it up in the dome, or are we getting the Matty Ice that plays bad against on the road? That's
why-
my concern with this
Problem
weekend.
is, it's a top 5 defense.
That's
Right.
the other
and we don't know if Julio's going to play or not. It's murky right now.
right. I mean, even with Julio playing, I think that Matty Ice or Matt Ryan, however you want to call him, I just think that even if Julio's out there for the whole game, I think that you're still not going to see that 25-point kind of game that you would come to expect from Matt Ryan in a dome setting or at home. I think you're looking probably in more in like the 19-20, if you're lucky, type range this week. I could be wrong, but
Right.
I don't see him putting a bunch of touchdowns in the end zone this week. But I could be wrong.
No, I
think it
agree with
might-
you.
I
All
think
it
it's
says I got him at my bad.
I was gonna say, I think the running game's going to help them a lot this
Well, and if
week.
he
but
scrambled more and got more rushing yards, I probably wouldn't have him there. But
Nah, he's got that.
He's not gonna. He's gonna rely on that arm only.
He got that Manning feet. He don't run. He doesn't run
Oh, and
very.
you got Ridley and Julio. You really don't need to.
And Mohamed Sanu, don't forget about him.
Right.
So
Well, you know what? That new offensive line. We'll see if they're really
that's
up to the game.
this is
week.
true because they brought in I invested a lot of draft capital this year in that offensive line. So
Listen, I'd love to eat my words if that offensive line is legit. So
we'll see. All right,
mean,
what do we got
Freeman's
on the
gonna look good, too.
Ugly. I'm gonna stay with the Falcons here and take Austin Hooper.
Yes.
Julio's status still up in the air. We don't know yet. If he doesn't play, this helps Hooper obviously because it's gonna be Ridley and Sanu. But they said in the offseason they want a bigger role in the passing game for Austin Hooper. He's big, he's fast, he can catch. I like it. This game does have a potential for a shootout if the defenses don't play well. He's projected like 9 points. I would take a flyer on Austin Hooper.
Yeah. I mean, when I talk about how I don't know if Matt Ryan's going to put a lot of touchdowns, I'm banking on if that's the offense struggles for the Falcons against a good defense. But no different than any other good defense. If you continue to put them out on the field, if Kirk Cousins starts struggling for whatever reason, or they go a bunch of 3-and-outs, and Matt Ryan eventually gets chip away, and then eventually take a shot down the field. I mean, 2-3 touchdowns on this Minnesota defense, and they're going to clock out. I'm just saying they're not a defense that plays from down 2-3 touchdowns and playing tough anymore. It's over.
Yeah, if you can get a lead
That's
on
the Buffalo
them,
Bills.
right?
Yeah.
That was
So.
crazy.
No, I listen. I think they're going to try to run the ball first,
I do
control
too.
that clock, which then will slow down Atlanta.
Right. Okay.
That's smart though.
Against a defense like the Vikings, and kind of try to wear them down as much as you can.
Oh,
I
you got
agree.
Dalvin Cook. Let's use him.
True.
Exactly.
And he's on my team, so I really need you to use him.
True.
Just saying.
Just saying. Anyway, so then you got the Ravens at the Dolphins. I just think, to me, for the good in this one, and this is probably the only game for a while that you might feel good about playing him, is Mark Ingram. This Dolphins defense is what was good about it has left.
What was good about the whole team is left.
That's my point. So as I put in my notes, they are end quote tanking for to a hotel. They're literally checking into that. They've already reserved the room. They've already paid for the room. They're staying for the whole season. They've set up
They
camp.
bought
They're
the
there.
hotel.
They may have actually bought the
Yeah.
hotel,
I'm just saying.
the Bellagio.
To be honest with you, is there any bad player to play on Baltimore? Maybe Brown.
The receivers, because
Yeah,
Lamar,
that's what I was getting at. Maybe that's it.
because
I think Andrews is actually going to have a sneaky good game.
I
here.
almost put him as my ugly.
Yeah. So
And
just
I think Lamar Jackson is a valuable option this week too.
yeah, I just think that when you're looking at Mark Ingram, I know a lot of us are up and down like whether he's going to be good this year. Is he going to fit into this offense? And Lamar Jackson, how is he going to integrate Mark Ingram into handing the ball off? I mean, what are we going to see? I just think this is the good week that if you're going to play Mark Ingram and feel good about it, I'm looking in that 12 to 13 fantasy points range. And
Mark Ingram's a beast.
He
He just gets
is.
overshadowed everywhere he goes.
right. So with Miami's defense and offense being trash, I just see Ravens putting a couple touchdowns and then just kind of
Running the
coasting
ball.
and just run the ball.
Right.
So,
I like Ingram.
yeah. So, all right. The bad in this one
Well,
is who?
I'm going to pick from any of the Dolphins players, but I'm
Just
going to
go down the
No,
list.
Mike Gesicki, I think, in this one is going to be totally irrelevant. I mean, Fitzmagic, the quarterback, we've seen him kind of forget where the tight end even is on the field.
Right.
So I'm not exactly thrilled with Mike Gesicki on this one.
Yeah, I mean, outside of O.J. Howard, that's pretty much the only offensive tight end that he is favored at all.
Ever.
Yeah, in his entire career. So I don't think it favors Gesicki at all.
Now, it could be out of necessity because really there's no one else left on the field, but I just don't think Miami's going to look good at all in this game.
I don't either, to be honest.
They gave up.
I'll tell you what, the only person I'm kind of being a sneaky good play here would be is Wilson, Albert Wilson. If he's healthy and ready to go,
I know.
Fitzmagic likes to throw the ball around.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Well, that's why I put my ugly as Kenyon Drake.
That was gonna be what I was hoping. That was gonna be him.
I just only because I think he's going to be checked down.
Yeah.
The O line sucks. They let go Tunsil.
The best part of their offensive
Right,
line.
their left tackle. So Fitzmagic's
That
about to
says a
get
lot, by the way.
destroyed.
Right.
What?
that says a lot.
When you
by the
give
way.
up your best
Exactly.
offensive lineman
Yeah, you give up Tunsil and
And-
Kenny Stills.
for literally nothing.
They got
Oh, they got
two
a ton
first round
back.
picks. They got 2 first-round picks, I think, right?
They have
For this year, I mean,
no,
you
and
pretty
next
much you're
year.
done.
They have
You-
like a first.
They have 2 first rounds next year and 2 second-rounders next year.
Yeah, they have a crazy amount of picks in the
right.
next 2
I
years.
mean, for next year,
early.
I'm just saying for this year,
Oh, this year
They-
they,
they-
gave up.
they gave
we
up.
just said it.
Right.
I don't think we've
mean-
ever seen something this bad of
I mean,
tanking.
that
in the NFL
blatantly-
in a long
I
time.
mean, think
tanked.
about it. If you're a player on that team and you're a professional now, you have to go out there and play. But deep down, you're thinking, our management just gave up on us before the season. They traded for Rosen, and they just gave up everything.
What's funny is Parker lives still to play on this team.
He'll be done after this year. I think the reason Fitzmagic is starting is because they want to he's going to get demolished. They don't want to get Rosen hurt, and then next year they're going to start fresh.
Yeah.
But I mean Kenyon Drake, check down. He's not going to have time to sit back and throw. I don't think Fitzmagic. He's going to be getting rushed.
And Fitzpatrick tends to actually favor throwing the ball to the running back. He has no problem throwing those short and immediate throws, but he also has no problem throwing the deep ball either. And
Ravens
even if
defense
it's
is a
double,
beast.
triple coverage. So
Ravens defensive line is going to try to feast on that.
well,
Yep.
it's like Lily having a bunch of screen doors right across.
Yeah.
It's the offensive line for the Dolphins is literally the epitome of what a sliding glass door is. It's literally just.
Ooh, so are we saying that the Dolphins offensive line is now worse than the Cardinals?
Yes.
Ooh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Cardinals. You are no longer the worst team going into the year. Miami beat you.
Man,
By
their
giving up
quarterback
everything.
Can't run like Kyler Murray can.
No.
Not good.
So I don't know.
Maybe he can do something with that beard, you know. Come on, whip it around.
I
He
don't
needs
know.
Deshaun Jackson's outfit again, but he's not there.
No.
That's
So,
a baller. He's a baller.
but I agree with you. I think that you got Mark Andrews. I think kind of a sneaky play. I think he's going to be a solid play for you this week.
I think he's going to be a solid player all year. He's underrated right now.
I think so too. I just want Lamar Jackson to develop more as that passer and to build
They
that
said
chemistry with
that
him.
he wanted to throw 25 to 30 times a game.
Hey, look-
I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, until I see it, I ain't believing it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, and this one I think is going to be an interesting one. One of the last 1 o'clock games. You got the Chiefs. I want to say the Chefs.
Chefs.
From that commercial
Chefs.
years ago. The Snickers commercial. Chiefs at Jaguars. I think this could be. I think this could be a good one. Defensively, the Jaguars are good, and I think they've got something to prove defensively and offensively this year. And let's be honest, the Chiefs are just rolling on cloud nine with pretty much everybody who's got 99s if they were playing in Madden. So I'm just saying,
Vegas
speed wise.
Vegas thinks it's going to be a shootout. 51.5, second largest over/under of the week.
Well, Chiefs defense isn't exactly the greatest.
Yep.
No, they improved, but they didn't improve anything worthwhile. So the good for me this week is Leonard Fournette. I just think that you're looking at a pretty big game out of him. I think they're going to feed him early and often, and I think they're going to play the play action and the handoffs, toss left, toss right, whatever they got to do. And Nick Foles is going to eventually stretch the field at some point.
Yeah, I like Fournette now because they have a legit quarterback who can throw the ball.
I was saying, I think the defense is going to get pulled in on some of these runs, and eventually it's going to be a play action down the sideline to
We've seen
whoever.
we've seen
D.D.
teams-
Westbrook, whoever.
We've seen teams be able to run on the Chiefs. I mean, and Fournette's not no slump here.
No.
No, a couple years ago, what did he do?
Not slump, slouch.
I know what you
Slump,
meant.
slouch?
Slump,
Whatever.
slouch. I
Same
got you.
thing.
It's your bull.
It's
Click
your-
it.
It's your
Where'd I got it? Oh, did I drop it? Nope. Here it is.
No, it's got to be your bull.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, a couple years ago when Fournette ran all over Pittsburgh like it. Remember that? Those two games?
And Pittsburgh was a good defense at that point.
Exactly, yeah.
I just think they got a good offensive line. They got a quarterback that can actually push the ball down the field and create a threat in the passing game. No, they don't have any big-name wide receivers or a big-name tight end. They just have Leonard Fournette and Nick Foles as the identity of that offense.
Hey, they have
Fine.
a wide receiver I'm really high on. We'll let Blackburn get on there.
All right.
Talk about him. But anyways, my bad this week is only because he's so new to the team. He will have a role, I think, in the upcoming weeks, which will be bigger than this week, is LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah.
I think right now he's just getting acclimated to the team. He's only been there a week.
Right.
You got to give him a credit. I know he's been with Andy Reid before, but I don't think he'll have a huge role right now. You'll see him in the game, but nothing big. I think, though, going forward,
Yeah, he's
we're
going
going
to
to run it
overtake.
back by committee.
He's
here.
well, I think he's going to overtake Williams as the starter.
It's
Once he
it's
gets
a
comfortable.
possibility. I still think Williams has got more. I think he's the better back right now, but we'll see. You know, and Andy
The
Reid's
connection with
offense.
Andy, right?
Yeah.
The connection with Andy Reid is they brought him there
I
for a
agree.
reason.
Well, here's the
agree with
thing. I look at it as you have the new favorite running back that Andy Reid liked all those times and re-signed and let Ware and everybody else kind of go. And then he gets the opportunity to bring back one of his favorite all-time running backs he ever had back into the offense that he
Which is where he excelled the most.
exactly.
Yep,
So
I agree.
by the end of the year, it would not surprise me if it's a 60-40 between McCoy and Williams, or if it's a 50-50, literally right down the middle, and you got 10% of it goes to Darwin Thompson. I mean, I unfortunately, when McCoy's trade happened, Darwin Thompson was the loser in this trade.
Absolutely.
The Chiefs as a whole, win.
Well, they just got better because now you can play both of these guys. They're both pass catchers
Yeah.
on the field at the same time with all these other weapons.
Well, what's crazy is Damian Williams hasn't had more than 56 or 57 attempts in a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Because he's
that's
either
a
been
lot now for
starting
all of a
and
sudden to
got
get 'em
hurt,
all-
or
yeah.
he comes off the bench for somebody hurt.
It just sucks for somebody that drafted Damian Williams in the second round thinking he was going to be the bell cow, and now you bring in McCoy.
Yeah. I mean,
Because eventually those targets are going to get taken away.
oh, yeah. It's going to even out very quickly, I have a feeling. And even if Damian Williams gets hurt or starts struggling, whether that's ball security, whatever, I could see LaShawn McCoy being the main ball carrier going forward.
luckily he plays with the Chiefs, and Mahomes throws a ton of touchdowns. So there's
Right.
plenty of touchdowns to be had on
Everybody.
that team.
You get
So he's
one.
still going to
You
be
get
relevant,
one.
but maybe not at what we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
My ugly for this one's D.D. Westbrook. I think he's going to be the primary target or primary wide receiver. It's going to help Foles with his production. He's projected 14 fantasy points this week. I know Chiefs defense isn't the greatest, but like you said, it could be a shootout. I'll take a flyer on D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably going to play him in your flex anyways at this point.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just think that best case scenario, like we said, I think the defense is going to get brought in with Fournette pounding the ball up the middle, and eventually it's going to be a down the sideline or a deep post to D.D. Westbrook, and it's over. And it's a touchdown for 50 yards. I just think that's what you're going to see at a D.D. Westbrook. He's not going to be the heavy reception guy. He's not going to get, like, tons and tons of targets. I think it's going to be like a Robbie Anderson or a John Brown where it's couple pass plays, and then it's what are you going to do after the catch.
Right.
So,
See, Dede came into his own at the end of last year. I hope that continues into this year. So,
yeah. All right. Let's see. The last 1 o'clock game, Titans at Browns. The official 2019 Super Bowl campaign will be kicking off for the Browns.
and they will be 1-0 after this week.
So,
Probably, but I hate it.
yeah, at Cleveland.
We're going to do a lot of hating because they're going to do a lot of winning. I'm sorry.
No, they're not.
So the good for this week for me, Jarvis Landry. OBJ, yeah, he's dealing with some sort of hip, may not be 100%, but the biggest thing is the Titans not very good against wide receivers. And if everything and all of their defensive willpower is to stop OBJ, Jarvis Landry, I think, is going to be roaming. I think he's going to be that slot receiver that everybody's going to be excited to have this week. And I think he's got somewhere in that 10 to 12 fantasy points and a half-point PPR setup. But I just think it's not out of the question for him to be a top, I'd say, 15 wide receiver this week just because of the fact I think this game specifically, the Titans' defense isn't the greatest.
They're good run defense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the offense for the Titans, we don't know what we're going to see out of this.
Super trash.
So that's my concern. I think that the Browns are going to have their way with the Titans' defense. It's eventually just going to be the floodgates are open and it's scoring at will. So that's just me. I think this is a week that you play Jarvis Landry and you feel good about it. It may not happen every week, but I think this is a good one.
I agree. So my bad is, can I take any Titans player?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, you could just say the
Listen.
Titans' offense. And we
Right.
would be,
Well, I'm going to go with a
Write that
player
down.
that's near and dear to Pickle's heart here,
Oh, no.
Corey Davis.
gosh, that guy sucks.
He's the worst.
Yeah, I just listen. He's a great talent,
Super
and actually, I think
sucks.
he'd be better if Tannehill was in there.
Yeah.
With Mariota throwing the ball, I just don't think Corey Davis is going to be relevant yet. So until I see it, I'm never going to put him in.
Right.
know.
And I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Listen, what's things you can stat him out. It looks like he's got the capability of being big and have big games. It's just
If Corey Davis was on another team with a quarterback that airs it out, he'd be a beast.
yes.
I was going to say, that's the biggest thing for me is I think he, and I will never take this away, I think he athletically is good. He came out of a smaller college, kind of like an Antonio Brown. He had a chip on his shoulder. I think he is athletically fine. Like, as a wide receiver, he's got good hands, good route skills. I think the problem is the guy who's getting him the ball.
It's
and
the
Mark,
offense.
And I just think that's what we're looking at. And, I mean, you got a defensive head coach who has swapped out how many offensive coordinators? I just
Right.
feel like Mariota's been through, 3 or 4 coordinators so far. I just think, and I mean, I went as far as making a side bet with one of our writers, Danny. He thinks top 25 for Corey Davis, and I said willingly, yes, I'll take that and have some extra, put that on my plate because there's no way on this God's green earth that he is going to finish that way. This offense sucks. Outside of Derrick Henry, I want nothing to do with it.
Did
Right.
you do it at the end of the year total? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
All right.
I just
Hopefully, he just doesn't have 2 or 3 really
Yeah,
big games that carry. him.
Derrick Henry is who I would play in this game, but that's going
I
to
do
get worn
too.
down too because the Browns are probably going to be up on the Titans, so they're going to have to throw. which leads me into my ugly, is Delaney Walker. Security blanket, Corey Davis is pretty much out of the picture because Mariota doesn't throw deep. I almost put Adam Humphries here.
Yeah.
Well, that. I actually like Adam Humphries too.
I do too because he's going to be your slot guy and dump ball, and that's perfect for Mariota. He loves the slot guy.
Yeah.
So Delaney Walker / Humphries is good for me. Delaney Walker's projected 9 points. That's not too bad.
No, and I think he's coming off of an off season where he was injured last year in the first week of the season, so he's had plenty of time to heal. It wasn't like a Greg Olsen where he got hurt towards the end of the year and tried to rush back.
Well, they just have chemistry too. I like that, him and Mariota. They've always been on the same page.
The one player that
Right.
Mariota actually seems to feed the ball to in the passing game is Delaney Walker. If I had to take anybody in the passing game, now we don't know what we're going to get out of Humphries, but given the previous however many years, I just think that we're looking at Delaney Walker's about the only receiving threat that I want in that offense at this point.
He's been banged up the last couple of years, and this year he's coming in more healthy than he's been in a while.
Right.
So.
I think he'll be fine, and I like him in this matchup because the Browns' defense is good in the secondary, and they're good at the pass rush, but their linebackers are suspect. So that's just me, though. All right, so kicking it into the 4:05 games, Colts at Chargers. For me, the good in this one is Hunter Henry. I'm banking on somewhere around that 12 fantasy points this week. Colts are bringing back all 11 defensive starters, but they were still 31st against tight ends last year. So
I like Hunter Henry this year.
I think this is one of those games that you can feel good about. So.
Listen, I'm not expecting too much out of this game, though. I think that both teams are going to have a little bit of a hangover for the Melvin Gordon issue and the Andrew Luck retirement. But me, that leads into I'm going to go with the other tight end as bad as Ebron. I think with no luck, the red zone numbers are going to be down.
I like that.
And Ebron is solely relied upon the touchdown. It's going to be hard pressed now.
I think that as a whole, I think this offense. I mean, when our draft loadout projections, literally all of the offensive players for the Colts went. Just knock
I'm
him
rooting
down.
for Jacoby Brissett, but
I am
not
too.
this week.
They gave him the money, so they must think something of him.
And they brought in somebody named Brian Hoyer. So
Trash. My ugly for this game is Austin Eckler.
There's no
hopefully,
between with him,
if
you
you
know
drafted Gordon, hopefully you got Eckler.
Yeah.
Obviously, handcuff. He will split time with Justin Jackson, but I think Eckler is going to get the majority of the snaps.
yeah,
He's got good upside. He's projected 16 points. Like you said, with that defense, they're a pretty good run defense. So I think Eckler catching the ball is gonna help out a lot.
I'll say I think until further notice, unless you see something out of Justin Jackson, I mean Austin Eckler is going to be the guy that you want. I think that having both of them in there is good for Eckler instead of relying solely on Eckler.
Right.
When we saw them kind of go 50-50 or whatever 60-40, whatever you want to call it, a split, Eckler actually excelled. When you made it all Eckler or all Justin Jackson, when Eckler got hurt and when I just think that's when you saw neither one of them can actually be a ball carrier, like a sole guy that can take over the game. They're just not that type of athletic ability.
Listen, if you're in a deep league and you got a roster spot on your bench, I'd still go get Justin Jackson. Let him sit, see how this week plays out.
Yeah.
Because if he's utilized a ton where it is more of a 60-40 split, he's going to be valuable then.
True. Yep. All right. Bengals at Seahawks.
It's going to get ugly.
This is going to get ugly fast. Sorry.
It's at Seattle. Nobody plays good at Seattle.
No,
Several
I'm not
unless
looking
you're a
forward to
Seahawk.
this game. I'm going to watch every second of it and cry for most of it.
Tyler Lockett's the good for me in this one. I just think that he is
Absolutely.
going to feast in this secondary at home against a newly coached team in general for the Bengals. And I'm not sold on this Bengals defense. So
They haven't been good in a while.
No. We couldn't even get a defensive coordinator for a while. Come on.
So I just think that Tyler Lockett's going to feast, and I'm looking in that 14 to 16 range potentially.
Right. I like that.
So
I think Chris Carson's going to eat us alive. But
yeah, I didn't put him as my good because I figured everybody's drafting where they drafted him, they're probably for sure playing him.
my bad is now he could be a sneaky play here, but I think they're going to ease him in the offense as Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
I think this week that you'll see a little bit of him flashes. I think he'll be more utilized as the year goes on.
I do too. I actually like the upside of Eifert, especially with Green being out.
Yeah.
My ugly is Tyler Boyd. Obviously, he was drafted in the mid rounds or like 5th, 6th round. The O-line is hot garbage. Dalton's going to have to get the ball out fast because he's going to be laying on his back. Seattle's defense isn't what it was, but they still got some good players, and they got this guy named Clowney now.
Yeah.
So
he's Iggy Azania. So they brought him in from Detroit. I mean, they've got a nasty defensive
their
front.
front seven now is dangerous.
But I will tell you, their defensive secondary actually is like sneaky good, and they're playing at home. That was
Still
where
got
they played
Bobby
the best.
Wagner. They still got KJ, right?
They're going to be good, and I'm sorry for Bengals fans and for the local fans watching on DATV.
We're used to it by
Your
now.
team's going to get annihilated.
I just like Boyd because I think volume's going to be there.
Yeah,
Because they're going to have to get the ball out fast. He's playing in the slot. They're not moving him to the outside. They want him to stay in the slot, and I think that's perfect for Andy Dalton because he's not going to have much time to let routes develop.
Right. All right, 425 games. 49ers at the Buccaneers. I got Jameis Winston as the good in this one. I just think that with Arians being the QB whisperer that he has shown that he can be, and with those weapons at home,
Is this the year that Jameis Winston finally takes the step we've been
I think it
waiting
is.
for?
And this is week 1. And, I mean,
all
don't get me
between the
wrong.
ears, man.
The 49ers front pass rush is good, but I think that's
They're banged up, though.
that's the extent of it. So if Jameis Winston can short little in and out, dunk and dunk, Godwin, some home run shots to Evans,
It's
whoever,
questionable. But
Peyton Barber, O.J. Howard. I just think they got so many weapons across this offense, and the defense for the 49ers are bad, and I think the offense for the 49ers are going to struggle.
I do
so
too.
I just think Jameis is going to be in that top 7 or 8 quarterbacks for the week. So
Well, Vegas does not agree with you. They have a 51 over/under with only a -1 favor
they
or
know.
one spread for the Bucks, which means I think both teams are going to score. But listen, I think the Bucks are going to air it out all day. I think that's going to limit the play on the running backs here. I think Barber and Rojo are going to have a rough day.
yeah.
I think they're not going to see the volume you want them to see. I think it's going to be thrown around all day. I think Jameis Winston's a great play this week.
So your bad was the
Oh,
running back.
Yeah, the running back. Sorry, Barber.
Anybody in the backfield?
My ugly is
Yeah.
Dante Pettis.
Oh.
He's healthy. I think besides Kittle, he's going to be the main option. I mean, Goodwin's your down the field guy, but I think game script is going to favor the 49ers receiver here, Pettis.
Yeah.
They're going to have to play catch up.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope it does because, there's so much hype around Pettis in the offseason, and then it's kind of transitioned, and we don't know how we're going to use him in this offense, so I hope it's back to him.
Yeah. All right. Giants at Cowboys. I got, and the good one in this one is Dak Prescott.
Surprise.
I really looked across. I couldn't put Amari Cooper. I couldn't put Zeke. The
You
Giants
could have
offense.
put a giant play.
No, outside
Couldn't
outside of
have.
Evan
I knew
Ingram
he wasn't.
and Barkley, there's no way you could play any of these guys and feel good. So I
them
just
all.
think Dak has got all these weapons back. They're all ready to go. Cooper, Witten,
Hall of Famer.
offensive line, no. And then
They already
Zeke.
gave him his jacket. He's just going
Yeah.
to wear it to the stadium.
So I just think at
Green
home,
jacket,
and he
gold
tends to
jacket,
play
who
well
gives a
against the Giants defense. So
I like it. No, I'm just kidding with you.
no, I just think
We're
that's
just
the biggest thing. Home against the Giants,
No, I'd actually fire up Dak this week, too.
Giants defense is trash.
it is.
Right.
So that's my good for this one.
Well, and listen, I'm in agreement with you. I took Sterling Shepard as my bad. He's had one touchdown against the Cowboys in his
He's got one
entire
good hand.
career. So yeah, he's got one good hand. So
So
I'm avoiding him.
My ugly and a sneaky play for this week, Cowboys defense and special teams. I like it. They had a top 5 run defense last year. What's the strength of the Giants? That guy named Saquon, right? So they're going to target him and get him out of the game. Eli's going to be Eli. Their O-line's trash. And I like the Cowboys for, if you're one of those guys that do streamable defenses every week, I like the Giants or Cowboys defense this week.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right, Lions at Cardinals. For me, Kenny Galladay. I'm thinking he's up in that 12 to 13 fantasy points. No Patrick Peterson, and the rest of the defense is awful. I mean, that's pretty much plain and simple. I don't know how else you can baby that into like existence.
That's not.
So.
I mean, it's called facts.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
all right, who's the bad in this one?
I'm actually taking Kyler Murray. I think we're going to see some ups and downs out of the young quarterback, and this is going to be a down week.
Yeah.
Well, I just picked Larry Fitzgerald as the ugly. You're going to play him probably based off name alone.
Yeah.
If there is a guy that's going to get targeted a lot, it's probably going to be somebody like Fitzgerald for Murray. They got this quote-unquote air raid offense. We're going to see how that works out. But I mean, Fitzgerald, he's projected 10 points.
Yeah, I think this is a good week for him to kind of see what you're going to get for the rest of the season. So, I mean, it's not a great defense, and it's not a great
Yeah.
secondary.
I think
so.
Kyler Murray is going to be a relevant fantasy football quarterback. It's just going to take a few weeks. He's
will.
young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these rookies are unproven.
Now, this is the game that I think is going to be the most exciting to watch for just an average fantasy fan or just a fan of football in general. The Steelers at the Patriots. 8:20, it's a Sunday night game. It's in Foxborough, and for me, the good, Julian Edelman. I mean, I think he's going to be – Hayden's probably going to be covering him at times, but Edelman goes in and out of the field at different spots. He's going to be moving around, and we all know that Tom Brady that's his BFF, and he's
Right.
going to try to find him early and often.
Volume.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I also
that-
like Sony Michel here a lot. I had to find someone to be a bad here because really there's a lot of offensive weapons on both teams. I took James Washington only because New England likes to take away some aspect of the offense,
right.
and I think they're going to take away the over-the-top guy. So I think James Washington is going to be hindered here. I really think the Steelers are going to try to play a slow-paced game, too, to keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hand, which means the score could be lower than expected.
I
So-
think that's not a bad play.
I mean, listen, I could be totally wrong on James Washington. I just don't New England's great about taking some aspect away. I just feel like that's the one they can hone in on.
Right.
I like what you said about the Patriots taking away somebody, and I think Vance McDonald they're going to try to target the most in here through the middle. I got him as my ugly. There's no more AB, so he's going to get targeted more. I don't know how much more. I have big expectations for Vance, but I think the Patriots are going to try to limit what he can do in the middle with those linebackers.
I would say they're going to pick somebody, and you won't unfortunately know it till the kickoff what Belichick's who he's taking away. Whether it's and I mean, obviously the easiest answer is Juju, but that's the thing. Belichick's not a simple thinker. He's going to try to find one other way and make you sure.
Because he could double team Juju, and then you got to make everybody else beat you.
Right. So we'll see.
Well,
about
you'll
that.
see similar to what Green Bay did last night. It's
Right.
going to be keeping you in front,
Yep.
which means that's why I love Vance McDonald. I think it's a great play. They're going to try to utilize that big play.
All right. Monday Night Football doubleheader.
This is the game I'm excited about.
Okay.
For the
This is the one you're pumped for.
I am kind of
offensive fireworks.
I'm
I
kind of
think.
into the Texans this year, though. If that's the game we're talking about.
Yeah.
Texans.
7-10, and it's Texans at Saints, so it's in New Orleans. For me, the good in this one, I think, is Duke Johnson. I just think that with Hyde not really being a threat and just being brought in yet, I just think that we're looking at Duke Johnson's had time in this offense ahead of what Hyde has, and I just think it's a weakened defense there. I just think that I don't know. I just think the Saints defense showed at times that they could not cover a pass catching back. So I just think that's what we're looking at. I think they're going to take away Hopkins, and that's pretty much going to be their goal. And I think that everybody else is going to kind of be able to do what they want to do, and that's basically they're going to make Watson beat them by throwing to other people or running the ball. So
I like it. Can we put them in our league of record lineup?
yeah, sure.
Perfect.
And
And actually, Vegas agrees with you. The highest point over under this week, 52.5. So they like everyone, but I had to pick someone to be my bad. I'm taking Ted Ginn and Carlos Hyde. I don't think Carlos Hyde's going to be relevant yet.
Yeah.
And then obviously someone's got to not get the touches in New Orleans. I think Traquan Smith will be more relevant than Ted Ginn will be. So I'd avoid Ted Ginn this week.
Bashing the Buckeyes.
Yeah, sorry. Double bucks on this.
Whatever.
But say they're going to beat the Cincinnati this week, so we're good.
Right.
My ugly is Will Fuller. Lattimore is going to be on Hopkins, I think.
Yeah.
So New Orleans was 31st against wide receivers in 2018. This game, I think, has the most potential to be a shootout of any of the games this week. But I like Will Fuller. They got a left tackle now that can protect Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And you're not excited about playing Will Fuller, but he's a good flex option.
Yeah, but he's the exact opposite of Julio. He's not allergic to the end zone, so he knows how to get there.
Right.
When you play Will Fuller, he's known to get a touchdown.
Just
so
hope he stays healthy.
yes,
Right.
if he can play the game.
And I think the biggest thing is the defense for the defensive strength of the Texans is now just Watts. So I just think that's – I mean, they had Clowney and Watts. I think that's going to give up some opportunities to the Saints in a positive way, and I think that's going to help the Saints put points on the board, which in turn Texans are going to have to put points on the board. And I think, like you said, shootout is a very high
Listen, Deshaun
chance.
Watson is going to be a big play this week.
Yeah,
He's a big play all year,
Yeah.
especially now that he's got some O-line help. And
this is true.
Stills will
Yeah.
play a factor in
Eventually.
as the year goes on. That
Oh, yeah.
offense is loaded now.
And then the final game of the week, the 10-20 Broncos at Raiders. As we said, Antonio Brown at this point is going to play unless he all of a sudden decides he doesn't want to or whatever. For me in this one, the Broncos defense. I'm looking at somewhere around the 8 to 10 fantasy points. This is kind of like the Cowboys. I think it's a streamable defense this week. With AB, I had initially put no AB because that's prior to that. But even with that, I just think the defense is going to dictate to take away Antonio Brown because that's literally the strength of that offense. And
Absolutely.
being coached up by Vic Fangio is a plus because they're going to have all these defensive guys just going straight to the quarterback, and they're going to put pressure on Carr early and often. And we've all seen he does not do well with pressure in his face, and he doesn't do well with being chased like that. He does not throw well on the run.
No.
And he's tendency to get beat up pretty easily. So
Well, that pressure is going to lead to my bad, which is Derek Carr. Originally, it was no Brown, no reason to play Carr. Brown's going to play now. Carr might have a little bit better game, but like Pickle just alluded to, the Broncos' defense is going to be all over him this week. I just don't think he's a good play.
I agree. I think he's going to be running for his life, and that's why I picked Josh Jacobs as my ugly. He's going to get some volume running the ball early, but when that fails, because the defense will stop him, he's going to be a check down guy. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and he's got high volume for Josh Jacobs.
Who do you guys like offensively on the Broncos side?
Who do I like offensively?
Sutton?
Emmanuel Sanders.
I think
Emmanuel
I
Sanders.
still like Emmanuel
I
Sanders.
like
If he's
Emmanuel-
healthy, he's out. He's the guy that having that receiving
I
group.
just I don't know. He's coming back from that, and that's a pretty nasty injury.
I know, but
Until I see differently of any type of setbacks,
I was not
he's been
impressed
going.
with Sutton last year. I also like
I wasn't
Phillip
either.
Lindsay.
So
I do like Philip
I think
Lindsay.
it's a good week for Philip Lindsay. I can't believe I just said that. Listen, you're going to go up on this bet for at least week
Yes,
one.
I
I will agree
am.
with you completely.
As long as he falls forward for at least like 3 yards in
Listen,
theory.
I think Aaron.
All he needs is like 3 catches.
Go
and
back to that. Aaron Jones' utilization in the offense wasn't bad. It was just a terrible defense he went up against.
It was a bad matchup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lindsey's got a really good matchup.
But
agree
I didn't
with
like
you.
the way Packers used Williams too, and
Yeah, he's gonna be. That's gonna be there. It's
know.
we'll have to get. He needs to get in the end zone.
I think
Yeah.
we need
And
to make a
Lindsey's gonna get
tracker.
in
We
there.
need to keep a tracker up.
We do.
Oh, don't worry. I've got one.
This
I've
week
got a
it's go-
spreadsheet
listen,
for
it's
this
gonna be
week
like
one.
This. Lindsey up here and Jones down here.
The
at
graph
least for
is
this
going to keep
week.
going this way. So,
It's all right, though.
anyways, but so I think there's a lot of good games, and I think that there's always every week there's always a surprise, and I mean these are the guys that we're looking at. It is week one, so there is a lot of what if and a lot of up in the air stuff. But I mean, I just think that when you're looking at statistics and you're looking at guys just overall talent wise versus defenses, you can kind of gauge by eyesight. You can tell who is and who isn't going to do well. Could guys blow up that you never even talked about? Yeah, there's always one.
That's going to happen.
Yep.
But on a week-to-week basis, you're going to have your studs are going to be the guys you're playing, and then the guys that you're kind of looking at in the ugly spot are the guys that you're going to want to be flexing to potential upside, depending on what the matchup is. So,
Listen, and to steal the great quote from Aaron Rodgers, relax. It's week one. There's
Right.
going to be your big players are not all going to go out there and give you 20-plus fantasy points. But the owner that does freak out, make sure you give him a low ball offer and you go steal that guy. I'm just telling you.
so
I did like Aaron Rodgers' quote last night after the game. He said, "Quote: We finally have a defense."
Yeah.
this is true. I think they might have. All right. Anything else from you guys?
Nope, that's it.
That's it.
Can't
All
wait
right.
for Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So thanks for joining us today on the podcast side, YouTube side, and on DATV side as well. You can check out the weekly articles now, starts and sits, DFS plays, and then next week will be the waiver wires, the trade talks, things like that, at the Hateful Eight FF. And if you are wanting to get your weekly help in season wise, Patreon.com. Search the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast. Sign up there. It's $10 a month, and then you get access to our weekly projections for all the different type of scoring. So. You can follow me on Twitter at jpickle_th8ff. You can follow Blackburn at jblackburn_th8ff, and you can follow Trimboli at ftrimth8ff. So
We'll be live Sunday, or at least I will be if you guys need some
Yeah.
last
keep,
minute.
Keep all these
lineup help.
questions coming. Anything you got, Colin Cole?
yeah,
Keep those questions coming. We like it.
yeah,
We do.
we appreciate those. I mean, we had a lot of questions come out, and he was one of them that kind of just kept, hey, what do I do here? What do I do here? I mean, unfortunately for him, the Montgomery versus Aaron Jones really wouldn't have
Well,
helped him either way. So
and
Right.
listen, we're not always going to agree, but take the opinion that you like and run with it.
Exactly.
right. So all right, that's all we got for today, and good luck on week one, and hopefully you win and you come back next week, week two, feeling good about yourself.